Good morning and welcome to another edition of From the Desk of Dan White. And we usually start this video with a market update. And I've kind of got a lot of bad news, but then maybe some good news. Who knows? I mean, all signs are pointing to the same thing. We've talked about this for months. We're headed for a recession. Recessions typically begin after the Fed starts lowering interest rates. That's what happened before the last four recessions dating back to 1990. And we're seeing all the troubling signs you would expect to see leading up to a recession. Credit card debt is at an all-time high and still rising. The average interest rate on credit cards is now more than 20%. And this interest burden is suffocating most Americans. More and more folks are falling behind on their credit card and car loan payments. Delinquency rates are soaring. And about 67% of the workforce is living paycheck to paycheck today, up from 63% last year. And it's just as bad for corporate America. The cost of borrowing has risen sharply. Since 2021, it's killing companies with high debt loads. In July, 71 companies, U.S. companies, went bankrupt, and the number of bankruptcies is accelerating. That's up from 66 in June. As of the end of July, 446 companies have gone under, the highest total for this 7-month period since 2010. So we may already be in the early stages of a recession, and while I don't know whether we'll see the kind of carnage and devastation we saw during the 2008 recession, but I'm kind of convinced it will not be a soft landing. And a recession has historically been defined as 2 consecutive quarters of a shrinking economy. On an annual basis, the U.S. economy shrank 0.5% in the first quarter and grew 3.8% in the second quarter, which is a little outlier. These numbers are skewed by President Donald Trump's tariffs, which caused businesses to ramp up imports in the first quarter and then slash them in the second quarter. Without that large swing in imports, our economy would have grown in the first quarter and shrunk in the second quarter. And remember, most of Trump's tariffs went into effect just recently, so we haven't even seen the full effects yet. Tariffs are a tax on consumers and will only slow the economy further. So all that being said, though, the market just continues to climb this wall of worry. It seems to be impervious to world conditions. You know, if you recall, a couple months ago, we hit Iran with a bomb and the market went up. And a couple weeks ago, we had this sad assassination of Charlie Kirk and the market went up. And now we're in the throes of a 10-day, government shutdown. And up until Friday, the market continued to go up. And I kept wondering, what is going to tip this over the edge? What is going to really be the straw that broke the camel's back? And then Friday, Trump came out and announced another 100% tariff on China, and the market reacted poorly. It was down 2 to 3%, depending upon which index you're looking at. So all that being said, today it's up again. So I think there's an argument to be said for a melt up. The economy seems to be doing okay. Now the government's cutting rates. So that's like pouring gas on the fire. I think they're more worried about the jobs report and the economy. That's why they're lowering rates, and they're just going to say the heck to inflation. If prices go up, prices go up. That's the lesser of two evils at this point. So there is the things in place for a melt up where the market just goes kind of parabolic in the next couple months and even over the next year. But I don't think it's time to go all in on the market, and I don't think it's time to get all out. I think nobody really knows. So we're just kind of muddling through as we speak today. So, and then another thing we started to get into the last couple weeks is a mailbag to answer some questions that we typically get. And one question that I always get is, how much can I safely withdraw? What's the right percentage to take out each year without running out? Is the 4% rule still valid? So the 4% rule, if you remember, came out in the 90s by a fellow by the name of William Bengen. And he said basically if you had a 60% portfolio in equities, 40% in stocks, and you were trying to live on, X amount, you could withdraw 4% out, inflate that 4% by the inflation factor. A good chance you'd go 30 years, you wouldn't run out of money. Then we hit 2000, and that 4% got lowered. It got down to actually a little lower than 3%. Now the market's doing good again. 4% is probably a decent rule, but again, our philosophy is, and that's why we use annuity products, let's set up the income. Get the income coming in guaranteed whether you have money left or not. And that can give us the wherewithal to safely invest or even be a little more aggressive with your equity investments. So 4% here or there, probably not a bad number. We also have a survey at the end of the email today. We're taking a survey to see if we did add a CPA tax accountant, would our clients use their services? Would they come to him for tax returns? So I would encourage everybody to link to the quick survey at the end of the email and let us know. Just trying to gauge the interest factor. If we had somebody in here that could do tax returns, would our clients utilize those services? And we have upcoming events. The 6th annual Pie Drive-By is just around the corner. So another reminder, donations. We ask for donations. They can be unwrapped new Toys for Tots, non-perishable food items, clothing, or household essentials. We usually have a big, like 2 or 3 drop-offs to the food shelters, and then we usually give quite a bit to Toys for Tots. Registration is now live. So please RSVP no later than Friday, October the 24th. And as a reminder, the dates in question for Lewis, our Lewis office is going to be Tuesday, November the 4th from 10:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Middletown will be Thursday, November the 6th from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. And then Glen Mills will be Thursday, November the 13th, 2 sessions, one in the morning from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., and the second in the afternoon from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. And again, if you have any questions at all, please reach out to Chris, our events coordinator who organizes these things. And then finally, the last thing is Google reviews. We really do appreciate the people that take the time. If you have a Gmail account, and you've had a favorable experience with one of our advisors in one of our offices, or even just a favorable experience with our staff, we'd love if you could go on our Google reviews and give us a review for Middletown, for Glen Mills, or for Lewis. It really helps us out in the search engines and moves us a little higher up in the categories. So we're here in October. Before you know it, we're going to be into Thanksgiving and the holidays. Time just seems to be flying by. I hope everybody is enjoying the fall. And until next time, this is From the Desk of Dan White. Have a great week.